Hello, New York Giants fans. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a little Q&A. I do these on Instagram every Tuesday, so I figured I would bring it over to YouTube. I am going to answer 10 questions that I got from the Instagram Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, submit them in the comments and I will answer them next week. Let's start with an injury report because that is the biggest question that I got in the Q&A. What's going on with Thomas, Jones, Pert, Schmitz? You know, it never ends here. So let's start with those couple guys. So Dable already spoke to the media and said that John Michael Schmitz, Matt Pert, and Andrew Thomas have all been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Commanders. There has been no ruling on Daniel Jones, though as of yesterday, Thursday, he was not cleared for contact. So I would say do not expect to see Daniel Jones. Tyrod Taylor will very likely be the starter on Sunday against the Commanders. So the other guys will probably be fine. Some of the guys who were limited, like Saquon, Wandale, those guys I believe will be totally fine and should be ready to go. So one of the other questions that I get most frequently is how I became a Giants fan. So I wanted to just give you guys a quick little rundown because I get asked all the time, like, why do you even do this? Why are you a Giants fan? Blah, blah, blah. So I grew up in northern New Jersey in a small town called Ramsey. You know, any of you who grew up in northern or central New Jersey are probably familiar with it. It's very much split down the middle. You're either a Giants or a Jets fan. I'm a Giants fan because my grandfather was a season ticket holder for many, many years. So I always joke that thank God he picked the right team because if I was a Jets fan, it could be way worse. So I have some really cool Giants stuff from him. You know, this bear in the corner there is a pin of Lawrence Taylor on it. It's from the 1986 season before they went to the Super Bowl. My mom made this for her dad, my papa. She made it for Christmas, December 25th, 1981. It says good luck on the playoffs in the back. So diehard Giants fan, my whole family. Like I said, my grandfather was a season ticket holder. He saw them in Yale. He saw them in New York. He saw them in New Jersey, all over the place. So he ended up giving up his tickets when the PSL became a thing. I don't blame him. I think the PSLs are highway robbery. But yeah, so always been a fan. My whole family is Giants fans, some of us more extreme than others. I have 3 brothers, so I grew up very much in a sport-heavy family. I played sports growing up. I always joke that I never had an opportunity to watch what I wanted to watch on TV because when you have 3 guys going against 1 girl for the remote, there's a 99% chance that I'm not winning, and ESPN was always on TV. So I'm a big sports fan. Football has just always been my favorite. And, you know, my dad's mom was a huge Yankees fan. So that's why I'm a Yankees fan versus the Mets. But yeah, all of us are Giants fan, have been my whole life. The last couple years, I would say since graduating college about 10 years or so, I've really taken my fandom to the next level as evidenced by this. But I created my Instagram page during the Joe Judge era. I had just moved to Connecticut and felt like I needed to make some local Giants fans because I was watching the game every week. Like, what on earth is going on? I need to commiserate with some people. So I started the page connecting with other fans. And then before I knew it, I was getting DMs from people like, hey, do you know what's going on with the injury report? Is Saquon going to play this week? Is Jones okay? Is, you know, Joe Judge going to make it through the end of the season? All of those types of things. So I quickly, you know, decided that the best way to go was to start being a resource for other fans so I could help people, you know, so they're not scrolling through Twitter looking at 15 different beat writers to get the one piece of information that they're looking for. So now I always say that I'm the #1 source for Giants fans because I do my best to get every piece of information that is important for you to know as a Giants fan. I try to get it out there as quickly as possible. So yeah. Die hard, ride or die. It's been ugly the last couple years, but we'll get through it. So speaking of it being ugly, I've gotten some questions about, you know, where do I see this team headed? How many games do I think we can win? What does the rest of the season look like? And for me, what I would rather see this team start winning. I know there's people on board with the tankathon and they want Caleb Williams and yada yada, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. If that's what you want, go for it. I want this team to win. I want them to battle it out for the playoffs. I feel like the defense is finally coming on. Special teams is getting it together. You know, the offense is having issues, obviously, with the offensive line and all the injuries. But I just feel like I would rather see this team win. I don't want to go through another 10 plus weeks of watching this team lose and lose terribly. Like, at least they kept the Bills game close, but I just don't want to see that for the rest of the season. So I feel like we are in the stretch of the schedule where they can absolutely win games. The most important thing is that the line is going to have to hold up, and Tyrod has to perform until Daniel Jones is ready to go. So I think we can win games. I think we could beat the Commanders twice. We could beat teams like the Jets. We could beat the Raiders. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo's out with a back injury, and we don't know how long he's going to be out. But, you know, I just think that there's a winnable stretch here, and that's what I want to see. I want to see them play good football, competitive football, and I want to see them win games. So that's where I hope that this season is headed. I am not on board with the tankathon. And that's just my opinion. A lot of other questions I'm getting about if Jones's neck injury is serious, can Tyrod lead us to a victory against Washington? And I think absolutely. I think at the end of the day, there's no quarterback that's perfect. Yes, Tyrod made some mistakes last week. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing though, and he hasn't really started in a football game in a long time. So I expect Tyrod to have a really good game on Sunday as long as the line holds up. I want to see them get Jalen Hyatt involved in the offense. Him and Hyatt have a really good connection. So I want to see that continue to improve. Also, a very common question I'm getting is who is going to be the first to be fired? At this point in the season, I don't think anyone's getting fired. I think unless there are serious issues that continue with the offensive line, Bobby Johnson is not going anywhere in the middle of the season. Now, depending on how the rest of the season plays out, it's very possible that he could be the first to go this offseason. I also think that Thomas McGahee, who's the special teams coach, could be the first, if not one of the only ones to go. In my opinion, those are the two biggest issues that this team has. So that's what I want to see. Another question that I get quite often is, what's the deal with the injuries? Why do the Giants seem to have so many more injuries than other teams? And I said this on Instagram Live last week, and I stand by it. While I don't want to see anyone lose their job, Ronnie Barnes, who is the head of medical and strength and conditioning, all of that for the Giants, he's over 70 years old. And I just think it's time to say goodbye. I would like to see him retire at the end of the season. I don't want to see him get fired. I would like to see him retire. I feel like enough is enough. And I know that they have brought in new strength and conditioning coaches. I know that they have changed the turf. I understand all of that. But at the end of the day, when in 1 week you lost 3 offensive linemen and had to sign 4 new offensive linemen to the practice squad or to the roster, there's a problem. I'm sorry, I believe that with every fiber in my being at this point, and it's now making me start to feel like maybe guys like Shane Lemieux and Aziz, who I, along with many, have labeled as injury prone, maybe they're not injury prone, and maybe we have a medical problem with this medical strength and conditioning staff, because I just don't believe that the same players can have a million injuries every year. And why is it all the offensive line? How did we lose so many offensive linemen in a matter of a couple weeks? It is unheard of. And I just think that there's something not right there. So I want to see changes. I really want to see a lot of big changes this offseason to the medical and training staff. Whoever they brought in is fine, can go. But I just think when you're over 70 years old, he can be sharp as a tack. He can be up to date on everything that is happening. I just think that we need some new blood in there. And I will stand by that. Let's keep going. What do you think about Sunday? Do you think we can win? I think absolutely. Historically, especially over the last few years, the Giants have played really well against the Commanders, and I think that this week is going to be no different. We are finally seeing our defense mesh and play together really nicely. I think that that's going to continue, so I think that our defense is absolutely going to take advantage of their offense. Sam Howell is the only quarterback in the league who has been sacked more than Daniel Jones. Now, it's only been by 34 sacks versus 33. But I do think this presents a real opportunity for our defense to get all over their offensive line, to get to the quarterback, create pressure, get sacks. We need to see that this week. This is one of the few opportunities that this defense is really going to have to make a huge impact in the game. And I know that the offense has to match them. I hope that coming out of last week, there was some frustration in the locker room. And if I'm the defense, like if I'm Dexter Lawrence, like I said, I'm not afraid to hurt people's feelings. You got to go in there and tell them to get their shit together. It is time for this team to work together as a whole. So I believe that the defense is really going to have an opportunity to do some work. I also feel like the offense is going to do well. We have Justin Pugh back. Tyree Phillips is back at tackle. Andrew Thomas is not going. John Michael Schmitz is not going. There are going to be some challenges with the offensive line. They have a really good front four, but they haven't really been playing to the level that they should be. So again, I think this is going to be an opportunity for the offensive line. They really have to do their job, open up some holes for Saquon, give Tyrod a little bit more time to get rid of the ball, and we could see guys like Hyatt and Darius Slayton really go off this weekend and have a good game. So that's what I want to see. I think we can walk out of there with a win. Next question. I know it's early, but do you think DJ will go down the David Wilson road? I don't know why, but it's just a vibe. And I think this is a completely fair vibe. I have seen stats going around that in Andrew Luck's entire career, he was barely sacked. It was like 1 or 2 more sacks than Daniel Jones has been through in less games. So I think it's very concerning. I mean, I don't ever want to put that out there. I want DJ to be healthy. I want the offensive line to protect him. And I hope that he's okay and this neck injury is not as serious as it was in 2021. But I do think that if the offensive line does not do their job, unfortunately, there's very much a possibility that Jones's career could be cut short due to injuries, and they could be very serious injuries. A neck injury is not something that you play around with, and I really just want him to not play until he's 100% and the offensive line has gotten their shit together and can block for him. That's the one thing that I would like to see out of them. So another question I got is, who is someone that you think deserves more credit on this team? This is a great question because obviously the team has not won a lot of games, but it doesn't mean that there aren't specific players that are playing really well. So let's talk about Tay Banks, who has come in as a rookie. Obviously, a lot of us had our concerns about a rookie corner starting in Wink's system. We know he goes heavy on the blitz. You're leaving your corners out on an island. How is that going to go? Tay Banks has exceeded all of our expectations, and I just think he's not getting enough credit for it because the team has been so overshadowed by these losses. But I think that Tay Banks is really coming on. He's having a great season. Last week, the wide receiver that he was covering was targeted 3 times, and he allowed 0 receptions on that. So I really think that he just deserves some praise, and I hope Giants fans are excited about him, and he's a guy that you should really keep your eyes peeled on moving forward. Stay focused on Tay Banks because he's going to be a really good one moving forward. Last question here. I don't know if that was 10. Sorry if it's only 9. But another one is talking about our free agents. Who do I think was the best pickup so far? Now, I thought that at this point in the season, it was no question going to be Darren Waller. Obviously, Waller has made some big plays and he's been a big help to this offense. However, this team can obviously not score touchdowns, so all of that is not making up for the fact that, we thought he was going to be this huge playmaker. And I think he's going to be throughout the rest of the season. Unfortunately, it all comes down to the line. And, I think if he wasn't held, he would have had a touchdown last week. And I think that really could have changed the momentum for this offense. It is what it is. But I do think we're going to see a lot of him moving forward. However, Bobby Okereke, for me, is the guy. He was a guy that I was really excited about this offseason. Couldn't believe that the Giants managed to pull it off. I believe he has a 4-year deal here, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. In the last couple weeks, he has really come on, and I believe that this is just the beginning for him and another guy like Micah McFadden. You know, Micah dealt with some injury stuff last year, and Bobby is new to this system. And from what I have heard from a lot of players is that Wink's system is extremely challenging to learn. And Bobby O has admitted that he feels like he's finally at the point where he's getting comfortable in this system, and you can see it on the field. We've seen it the last 2 weeks. He's one of the only players who has forced multiple turnovers, forced fumbles, tipped balls. He is a guy who is going to be the standout piece on this defense and is absolutely going to make big plays moving forward. So he's a guy I'm super excited about, and I know he's been talked about a lot over the last couple of weeks. So I hope that he continues to come on, and I think that now he's comfortable in the offense and he knows what he's looking for. We're absolutely going to see a lot more of that moving forward. So I'm really happy that Bobby Okereke is a Giant. I hope you guys are too. So with that being said, let's hope for a big game from this defense, Bobby O included. Tay Banks, I'd love to see him get his first interception. And from the offensive side of the ball, you know, let's move the ball. Let's get a touchdown. Maybe in the first half. What a wild concept. But I really want to see this offense mesh together. I know it's going to be difficult with the offensive line, but last week we saw them turn it on in the second half. They settled down a little bit. Let's see it again this week. Guys got to make plays. That includes Tyrod, that includes Saquon, that includes Breida. Every wide receiver that's out there on the field, make plays. And last up for special teams, guys, my expectations are literally below the bar. All I ask is don't fuck up. That's it. That's it. Do your job. And let's get a win on Sunday. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more Giants content, and I'll see you next time.